everybody, Hannah Saxon here. I just wanted to tell you that in the last video I introduced myself as Abby, but it was a Doctor Who video and I was supposed to introduce myself as Hannah, so just a friendly reminder that in every Doctor Who video I do, I will introduce myself as Hannah. Thank you and goodbye. Okay, maybe not goodbye, but I still have a couple more videos to do with a different set of drums, so I will see you in that video, or this video. So, take care and enjoy the video. Hey everybody, Hannah here, and if you saw by the opening video, I did a little update because that last video I did with a different set of drums is a little bit incorrect because I introduced myself by my other name. So, it's Hannah. I'm going to continue reading a different set of drums. So let's go to chapter 10. 10th Doctor. I did not make that up. Interest. Kayla's POV. Yawning, I walk towards the door Jack and I stay at. Good morning, I yelled, knocking at it a few times. Kayla! I heard the doctor said as he opened the door and grinned at me. Hungry? Let's get you some food. Jack, come on! He sighed and looked at the sleeping form of Jack. All right, Jack said, jumping up from the bed and walking towards us. As ready as I'll ever be, he groaned. We might need to change clothes. I looked down at my attire as the doctor sheepishly nods. Sorry, got a notif on Instagram. Follow me, the doctor orders as he heads out in the corridors. In here, he explains, opening the door and letting us inside. You can change clothes. Oh, by the way, I'm getting a lot of notice on Instagram because I posted a thing on Instagram. Follow my Instagram, by the way. And yeah, it's Christmas at the time of filming this, so thank you for watching. The doctor grinned before closing the door. Meet you at breakfast, he shouted as I looked at Jack. The room was amazing. Deep blue wallpaper, and it was lined with wardrobes. All these have clothes in them? Amazing. I wonder if it's bigger on the inside. I laugh as Jack chuckles too. Let's find out, he grinned, running to the first one as I go for the last. Best leaves to last, right? I don't get it. I opened it excited and gasped. Oh my word, it is all so beautiful. I gently grab a sundress dress, pulling it out and gaping at its beauty. Jack, this is all so wonderful. I wonder where he got all these. I questioned over to Jack, not even taking my eyes off the dress. Oh my God! I exclaimed loudly, seeing a cowgirl outfit. I squealed, setting the dress back slowly and looking at the plaid shirt with jeans. I awkwardly look in the lower drawers beneath the main compartment, seeing underwear. Thank God. Wait. Sorry, I just got a note again. I shiver in disgust, thinking the master put these here. Oh my God. Ew. After a while, I finally picked up a pair and laughed to myself. Okay, you got what you want? I called over to Jack as he excitedly grinned at me. Yep, he replied as I walked to the bathroom in the room. There were actually two bathrooms, side by side. Excuse me, I gotta move the camera. I lock it after me and notice a shower in the room. I gasped, flying things everywhere before stepping in and feeling the soothing warm water against my dirty skin. This is brilliant, I sighed happily before looking around the room. It was fairly small, thank God. I don't trust big bathrooms. I also looked around the top in case of cameras. You never know, like what? After washing myself and all that jazz, I put on the clothes that I picked out. Looking in the mirror, I smiled. I love it! Finally, I brushed my hair and put it into a side braid. At least I look a bit decent now. I grinned to myself in the mirror before heading out the door. Oh my TARDIS breakfast! Never thought I would read the words, oh my TARDIS, ever. I squealed, seeing Jack's bathroom door open. I quickly ran out the door and down the corridor into the dining room. I am so sorry, I gasped in short of breath as I opened the door, seeing Jack, the doctor, and the master at the table. Nice to finally see you here, Kayla. Jack grinned to me as I blushed slightly and sat beside the doctor. At least I'm decent now, right? I laughed as the doctor chuckled. I hesitantly looked over at the master to see his reaction. He must have been looking at me since he quickly looked to his food. Busted. Wait, I don't have any food. So, where do you find some grub around here? I questioned as the master cleared his throat. In the kitchen, he said softly as he got up and walked towards the door. Or as got up and walked towards the door. Thanks! I grinned at him before walking in. Breakfast is boring AF. No, Master, not like that! I put my hands over my ears as the master plays the guitar. Terribly. If you're a Time Lord, aren't you meant to be like the jack of all trades? I frowned slightly as he looked at me unamused. You expect too much of us, dear Kayla. Time Lords are not... What was that character Apes used that was great at everything? Super Dude? Was that it? The master scrunched his eyebrows in concentration. I laughed loudly, walking towards him and cringing inside, playfully slapped his shoulder. Superman! I corrected him as he innocently grinned at me. Yes, that fella. The master looked into my eyes for a minute before shaking his head and setting the guitar to the ground. He walked over to the piano, sitting down at the seat and watching the keys. I watched him from afar as he lifted a finger and pressed down, a long middle-tone note flowing from it. Extraordinary, he murmured to himself as I walked closer. I love the piano, me. What? I smiled at it before looking to him again. Horrible at it, but I love it. I sighed as he shifted onto the stool and I sat beside him. Oh boy, ready for an Evangelion Kaoru X Shinji moment? Show me something? The master quietly asked as I bit my lip. I don't really know anything, but I quite like a certain tune, I say, reaching up and spreading my fingers across the keys. Slowly, I play a soft melody. It's just been in my head. I breathe out. I breath out as I felt his eyes watch my movement. It's beautiful, I heard as I stopped the repeating notes. You try, I say, looking towards him as he nervously coughed. Okay. He grinned before randomly pressing down keys, surprisingly making a nice melody. I actually like that. I laughed slightly as he stopped, watching me accusingly. Don't sound so surprised. He chuckled at me as I shook my head, feeling him move slightly closer to me. So, pianist? Penis. I watched him as he laughed loudly. Sounds so boring. Sitting on a bench, just moving your hands. The master rolled his eyes, jumping up from the stool and walking over to the drums. Oh boy! Oh no! Drums! Oh my god! This looks exciting. He rose an eyebrow at it as I frowned. Did he just call what I love boring? I look at my hands still seated on the little bench sadly. Surprisingly hurtful. I scrunched my eyebrows before narrowing my eyes at the piano. I may still be in with the plan, but I will not ever like the master. Not after what he did to my family. Oh no, I completely forgot he killed her family. The doctor's POV. I silently closed the door to the main hall. Doctor, you need to stop eavesdropping. But it's so fun! I walked briskly towards the game room. Nice to see the master and Kayla be friendly. But I know that look. I closed my eyes tightly before opening them slowly and opening the door. I spotted Jack holding a gun and shooting a picture of the master. Jack! I scolded as he innocently grinned at me before settling the gun on a counter where a guard instantly picked it up. Doctor, find Kayla? He asked me, walking over as I nodded slowly. Her and the master were getting close, as I may say. I suspiciously stared at him as he smiled evilly. No tongue action? Jack tilted his head slightly as I groaned. Just literally. Like they were sitting very closely and look. Oh, Jack, I don't trust this. I know I'm not helping Master at all, but don't you think this all seems too easy? I sighed as he nodded slightly. I mean, I'm here. I mean, why didn't he lock you up? And me? Why aren't I still old and stuff? I confusedly waved my hand around as Jack frowned. You're right, Doctor. It is a bit too easy. You don't think he has a plan, do you? He swallowed nervously as I patted his shoulder. Just don't trust him. Keep an eye on Kayla, too. Jack nodded before I sighed and looked at him again. So, Martha? He questions before I shift uncomfortably. Well, I've got it so that she's telling everyone my name. 12 satellites, one name being said at the same time by all. Calls this big wibbly-wobbly thing, I say to him as he rolls his eyes. Why would she do that? Jack frowned as I tapped my nose. You'll find out. How long will she be? He asked again as I shrugged. Well, how long it would take you, with nothing, as to go to every city in the entire world and back. I grinned him as he suddenly looked very concerned. Year or two? He quizzed as I nodded at him. A year or two. Okay, chapter 11, Scary, Kayla's POV, a week later. I shakily breath out, rubbing my hands nervously as I watched the master fiddle with a remote in a small library. Heart thumping, I closed the book and set it onto a desk. There's something wrong with me. I don't know what it is, but it's not me. It's so jumpy, crazy in a way. It's worrying me. Master? I stutter slightly as he stops and looks up at me, smiling slightly. Yep. He questions as I swallowed. Oh. Nothing. I explain, dipping my head as I hear footsteps towards me. What's wrong? The master kneels in front of my chair as I felt my face go bright red. I don't know. What's wrong with me? I slightly whimpered out as he looked into my eyes worryingly. He reached up, feeling my forehead before frowning. No temperature. He rose an eyebrow at me before standing up and grabbing my hand, pulling me up slowly. Now say ah. He grinned as I opened my mouth. Fine in there, he comments before moving my chin and closing my mouth. I smiled, embarrassed, as he stopped and watching me. Can't find anything. The master shrugs as I rub my temple. Is that so? I groan as he squints his eyes where I rub. He mimicked my actions on his own forehead, widening his eyes slightly before gently taking my raised hand, entwining his fingers through mine. What's it like? He questions as I twitch slightly. I'm not sure. It's like someone is banging my brain trying to get out. I tried explaining as he tilts his head to the side. It's just a migraine. Let's get you fixed up, huh? Don't want you in pain. He softly guides me out of the room and into the hallways, down into the main room. Once getting there, the master, still holding my hand, opens the door as I walk in. The doctor and Jack were in here, Martha's mother sleeping on a plastic chair in the corner. Okay, then. It wasn't that painful, the sound. Sound? My eyes widened in fright for a second before turning normal again. Oh, a doctor! We need a doctor! Oh, sorry. A doctor! We need a doctor! The master grinned at him as he whipped around and walked over. Hello. The doctor smiled slightly. Kayla, migraine medicine doctor. The master said quickly as he nodded before taking out his screwdriver, and I choked slightly about what I was about to think. Oh, God. He's screwing me with his screwdriver. Oh, my freaking God. I burst out laughing loudly, almost falling to the floor before jumping back up. What was that? Jack comments as he walks over and I put my hand over my cheeks. Oh, God. Sorry. Thinking bad again. I waved my hand towards the doctor's screwdriver as Jack looked at it before I clicked and laughed too. Doctor, I want to be screwed too! He cried as I coughed from laughing too much. The master, too, ended up laughing a lot as the doctor, unamused, stared at us. After a minute or so, he finally cracked a smile and laughed with us. I stopped altogether, though. This was annoying me. I swear, it's making me crazy. If I were to think about it hard enough, it would sound familiar. Like I know it. Like know it. Remind me of the day when the master and I tried out instruments. What was it? Piano? No? Drums? That does suit it pretty well. Drums. Drums. I slowly grinned as I looked at the doctor like he was crazy. I don't need any medicine. I'm fine. I convinced him before walking towards a bag I left on the bench at the side of the room. I could feel a pair of eyes on me as I reached down to grab it, before a hand covered my own, stopping me. Kayla? I heard the smooth voice of the master as I looked at him. Yes? I smiled widely at him as he stepped back a few steps. Nothing, he said quietly. Didn't I say that? Shrugging, I open the bed before scrunching my eyebrows. Now why am I going into bed again? I close my eyes. This is ridiculous. I'm so muddled today. I close the bag, throwing it where it was before going up to the doctor, groaning and hugging him. Today is just not my day. I sigh as he let a little from the impact. Wrapping his arms around me, I thought about it all. Bonkers. That's what I am. Mood swings and all. No, I'm not pregnant. Oh my god, this part is making me laugh so much. Yes, I know what you're thinking. No, I haven't done that before. Hey, we all have our weird days. The doctor grinned at me as I nodded from his chest. I turned around slightly, seeing the master grumpily look away slightly, before walking off towards the main controls. Unwrapping my arms, I sighed loudly. Why are we all even here? Boringness. I groaned as Jack wrapped his arms around my shoulder. What do you mean? He asked as I looked up to him. I want something. I want it madly, Jack. But I don't know what it is. It feels this world is too small. The sky is too small. The universe is too small. I can't breathe here. I say to him slowly as I look up at the master. Love is not always beautiful. My eyes widened slightly as I stared at him. A familiar song playing in my ears. Look with your heart and not with your eyes. But why that song? It confused me, though. That sentence. How can one look with their heart? I felt a pair of hands go round my eyes as I squealed. The hands lifted away as I noticed the doctor standing in front of me. Kayla? He called as I rose an eyebrow. Yes? I asked as he smiled slightly at me. After this is all over, we will show you. The world is massive. The doctor slapped my shoulder, grinning before heading off towards the master. I wonder how he thought of that name. Master. Hope it wasn't mean for dirty purposes, making everyone call you master. Sounds kinky. Oh god. I don't like where this is going. Insert that JonTron clip of, I don't like where this is going. Belief. The master's POV. I don't think I can deny it anymore. The way she talks, her smile, her hair, her eyes. Oh my. The way her name rolls off my tongue. The way she doesn't like honey but honeycomb. The way she is. I love it. I love her. I'm not all sure what love is, but I can guess, right? I have two sets of drums now, one on my head and one on my chest. The second one is louder, though. But you look at that, the master liking a girl. A human girl. I sound like I'm the doctor or something. Fiddling with my hands, I shook my head, clearing away my thoughts. I don't want to end up ruining whatever we have. Oh, how cliche. Looking up, I was in the library, of course. I seemed to be there a lot. Maybe it was because of Kayla's love of books. Gosh, I can't go a minute without at least one relevant to her, can I? Currently, she was slouched in her chair in the dimly lit room. Why her in quotations? My book I was pretending to read was... I flip it over in my hands. Something called The Fault in Our Stars. Oh my god, this is so 2015. What is this even? I mean, I made this library so it had every book in the universe, but still. What even? All I know is that about this girl and boy... Oh my god, is this a romance novel? I scrambled quickly on my chair, throwing the book over my shoulder. Hope Kayla didn't catch me reading that. Enjoy the book? Kayla grinned evilly at me as I coughed loudly. Sure. I hesitantly answered as she looked at me suspiciously. Okay then. She laughed slightly as I got up and walked over to her. I'm bored. Sorry. I groaned as she closes the book and sets it aside, getting up. That's so, she answered, stretching out her arms. I grinned, wrapping her arms around my neck before wrapping my own around her waist. Just love a hug, don't you? I slyly questioned, leaning into her. I felt her giggling into my shoulder as I snuggled myself into the side of her neck. This is nice. Just don't touch my butt like last time, I heard as I innocently scoffed. But that was so fun, I complained, swaying side to side slightly, sorry. Not for me. I don't want a Time Lord thinking it's fun to have some bongo match with my lumps. She exclaimed as I laughed loudly. Unwrapping myself, I take her hand, lifting it to my chest, still laughing. I suppose we could just go get food or something. I murmur as she smiles. Entwining my fingers with hers, I lead her out the room and skip happily towards the main room. "Doctor!" I yelled, grinning as I opened the room and ran up to him. I jumped onto his back as he let out a surprised yelp. "Master!" he yelled slightly as I landed on top of him. "Oops." I smirk at him before getting up. "Anyone fancy some good old fish and chips?" I question as Jack looks over to me from where he was. "I do!" he yelled loudly as Kayla walked over to her. Shaking my head slightly, I looked at the doctor. "Well?" I raise an eyebrow as he sighs. "All right." He gives in as I fist pump. "Let's go then!" I grin before running out the door. Kayla's POV. I smile softly at the door before watching Jack and the doctor about to walk out as well. The doctor stops, however, and shoos Jack away before I walk slowly to him. "Hi, doctor," I say, kicking my feet slightly. So, you and the master? The doctor awkwardly asks as my face turned a dark shade of red. "Doctor!" I exclaimed lightly, hitting his arm. "No!" I lied slightly, knowing perfectly well that I was starting to. He nods slightly before opening the door and pushing me out. I guess all Time Lords do that, eh? "Oh, I should have probably told you sooner. We can't escape, even if you're wondering why we have done nothing. Jack, Doctor, and I all have a device on our wrist which cannot be taken off. It's waterproof." "Why would you mention that?" "Basically, we get a massive shock which would stop us immediately if we were to touch anything we shouldn't. Say, the door handle to the outside are control. Anyway, back now. The doctor and I just currently got to the door and pressed our hands to it. Hopefully the master just told the system we were going out. A sigh of relief, and we were out. Feels so long ago since I was last out getting dinner with you. I call over to the master, who was leaning against the wall with his sexy jacket. He'd look good wearing a trench coat. "I'm such a horrible boyfriend," he said back as I gasped and shook my head at him. Jack raises an eyebrow at me as I quickly look to the ground. "Could we continue?" I awkwardly asked as the doctor walked off, us all following. I was really glad that I picked out a jumper for today. Really cold. I wonder when it's December. Is it December? I don't know anymore. Well, at the time of filming this, Kayla, it is December. A jumper is never really enough, though, is it? I noticed a shadow beside me snapping from my thoughts. "Yeah?" I looked up, instantly frowning. Where'd everyone go? "Guys!" I called out, searching around me. "Doctor!" I frantically shouted again. "Jack!" The sun was setting, and I don't know where anyone is. "Oh God! Master!" I yelled loudly, frightened of being lost. I hate being lost. I just can't. I lightly panted before running where we came. Maybe they're playing a joke on me or something. I'll trick them out. "Guys, it's not funny anymore!" I groaned, not seeing the building. "Great. Just great." "Kayla." I heard a faint whisper loud enough to make my head instantly snap to the sound. "Hello?" I answered back, hearing my name be repeated again. "I'm here." "I'm here," I smiled to myself, running towards the voice. "Kayla. My little Kayla." I heard an oddly familiar voice as I quickly stopped. "It can't be right," I thought. "Don't be afraid, Kayla. It's me." I slowly peek around the last bed and nearly collapsed. A body lay, bloody and broken. Through all that, I could still see a very familiar face. "Oh my God!" I choked out, covering my face with my hands. "It can't be." The master's POV. Abnormal. The master's POV. I stopped. Something's not right at all. I threw my arm out, stopping the doctor and Jack from walking. "Kayla," I whispered slightly before spinning around and seeing nobody. "Oh God," I choked before running back the way we came. "Kayla!" I frantically called out as a hand stopped me. "Master, calm." The doctor stopped me and shook me slightly. "Doctor, something is wrong. I can feel it. It's weird. My head hurts, doctor." I growl slightly to him as he sighs, letting me go. "We need to find her," Jack commanded as I frowned at him. "I'm sorry. Is that not obvious?" I sarcastically asked him as he glared at me. "Kayla could be dead for all we know." he snapped as I felt everything stop for a second. Don't you dare say that again! I roared out, echoing along the gloomy street. It was all silent then, before I stormed off the way we came. If they won't help, I'll do it myself. Nothing will ever happen to me. Her. Ever. Kayla's POV. Mom? I ran over instantly, gingerly placing my fingers upon her cheek. Kayla. Oh, I just read the voice wrong the last chapter. I thought it was the master, but it's actually her mom. She gasped out as tears filled my eyes. Oh, Mom. I choked, watching her every move, cherishing it. I killed him, Kayla. I'm so sorry. Mom whispers as I clench my eyes closed. Are you talking about Tom, right? I softly said as I opened my eyes again and seen her nod slightly. Shaking, I collapsed onto the ground, curling my knees to my chest and sobbed. Why did he do this to you? I screamed out, angry tears streaming down. I'll kill him! I panted out as my mother nodded. Do it. Kill him. She smirked slightly in pain as I, my back not facing her, scrunched my eyebrows in confusion. That's not what Mother would say. I slowly turned around, studying her. You wouldn't say that. I frowned at her as she groaned in pain. I'm dying. I can say what I like. Mother complained as I shook my head. You wouldn't say that either, I say, backing away from her. People change, Kayla. Good enough for... Wait, hold on. I'm not the same as before you were traveling with that doctor. She closes her eyes slightly before opening them again. Now that's the last score. My eyes widen in fright, watching as my mother stands up. How did she... You're defiantly not my mother. I growled at whatever it is. But you're emotionally weak, it said in a dark, low voice. Fake's eyes turned pure black before its smile turned into a terrifying grin. Good enough for me. It hissed before I felt a surge of power blow through me, winding me. I gasped, tears prickling my eyes before collapsing to the ground. Help! I croaked, looking down at the empty street. Please, I whispered before losing all consciousness. The Master's POV. We are currently still searching. It's horrible. The drums in my head will explode if I don't find Kayla soon. I can feel it. I looked up, still running, seeing the now glorious night filled with stars. Not for long. The night. That's what Kayla's name was. Oh, excuse me. Shaking my head, I looked forward before letting out a little yell, falling to the ground. I groaned, my face pressed against the cold pavement of the street. Looking back, I checked to see where I fell over and nearly died right there. Kayla! I squealed loudly, probably loud enough for Jack and the doctor to hear. I shuffled on the ground, facing her slightly bent body. Turning her slightly, I lift her head and set it on my lap. I quickly scan her features and body to see if there's any injuries. There's some on her elbows, probably from falling. Kayla, I called to her, trying to wake her. I hear running and look up, seeing the doctor and Jack run round towards the bend and behind us. Run round the bend and towards us. You found her! Jack exclaimed as the doctor sonics her. The readings say she's okay. He sighed in relief before kneeling, wrapping a piece of her hair behind her ear. Had us worried, the doctor exclaimed before slightly slapping on her face. Doctor! I gasped, slapping his hand away. Don't slap her face! I laughed slightly as he lightly blushed in embarrassment. Yeah, well, maybe not, he concluded. A groan interrupted us, and we all looked down to Kayla. Her eyes moved under her lids before opening, revealing her sparkling blue eyes. What? She groggily put her hands to her head before stopping and looking at them from afar. Nice hands. Kayla nodded drowsily to herself as I noticed Jack look questioningly at the doctor. Yeah, hands. You know, the hands you've always had. Come on, let's get back. We'll go out another time. Oh, sorry. Come on, let's get back. We'll go out another time, I instructed, helping her up. She was struggling to walk, so I rolled my eyes. Jack walked over, laughing all the while, and lifted her into his arms bridal style. I could practically feel my eyes burning with fire, watching Jack like a hawk. How dare he touch her? Mine! I humphed, walking after them, the doctor following beside me. The Master's POV. Time skip. It was just about 1 a.m. when we came back with Kayla, and it's been a few hours since then. I don't sleep much, so I just stay up and either think of plans or just make something random. The doctor even stays up with me, us just chatting away, but this time it was different. Hey, I heard a familiar voice call as I raised an eyebrow and looked behind me. Kayla, you should be in bed. I point to the door, but she just struts towards me, a sly grin I don't normally see on her face. This mind seems to be attracted to you, she whispers lowly to herself as I cough slightly. What does one do then? Kayla turned back at me before shrugging and running up, jumping and wrapping her legs around my waist, sending me slamming into the wall, her face up and personal to mine. Ugh! I blushed a deep red, gasping slightly to myself as I seen mischief in those eyes of her. Not a bad one, eh? Kayla purred, very unlike her as I gulped, seeing her lean forward. Kayla, I breathed out, her own tickling my skin. Kayla! I heard a voice boom as I, still hypnotized by those glorious eyes, stared into empty space. She had moved and now looked at the doctor, grinning. Everything still blurred, I saw a figure walk to me and tilt up my head. Kayla? I giggled slightly as I heard a sigh. Nope. Slowly but surely, my vision and my brain came back to my senses. Oh, God. I whispered, blinking my eyes rapidly before snapping my head towards Kayla. What was that? I exclaimed angrily as she shrugged innocently. You liked that, didn't you? She checked out her nails as I frowned deeply, walking towards her. I grabbed her wrist, making her stand up straight before leaning in and glaring at her. I think I know how Kayla acts. Zori. I growled at her as she slightly frowned before smirking again. Zori? Zori? Are you cheating on me? She fakely gasped as I just stared at her. Kayla. Of all people, Zori. Let her go. I hissed as she laughed loudly. You sound like a cat like that. Zori hissed the last part of that before seductively before cackling. Nice body, eh? Found it on the streets. Dead cheap. All it took was a simple, let's say, mummy spell. She rose an eyebrow to the doctor as my heart sinks. Oh, she expressed her absolute hate for you right then. By the way, Master, how about a little replay? Zori grinned. Sorry, I'm getting a call. Zori grinned evilly as the doctor walked up and pointed his screwdriver at her. Stop now, he commanded as she make a square in the air, creating a picture of a tree with a woman bloody and broken. Okay, I have to get this call real quick, so I'll see you in the next part.
Later.
Hey guys, sorry I had to re-record this segment right now. I have to re-record it because I had a little glitch with my editing, and that's the thing. That's the problem with editing. I was right here with, shut it off! I growled as she closed her eyes, still grinning. I watched the video, my eyes softening, seeing Kayla walk into the scene. Eyes watering, I watched as Kayla's sobs break my heart. It hurt even more when I seen her stand and scream in hatred towards me. I choked slightly, turning into a coughing fit, purposely turning around so I didn't have to watch it anymore. Any more of it. Turn it off! Now! The doctor boomed out, sonicking the picture away. Now get out of that body! He again yelled as she frowned angrily at him. God, I just want to have some fun! She groaned, before the body of Kayla suddenly closed her eyes and fell to the ground like a lifeless doll. Running over quickly, I hold on to her as Zori smoked her way out of Kayla's mouth. I don't want to see you do this again, or something will happen next time. I dangerously whispered as she whisked past and hopefully out of this planet. Hell of a night, eh? Experiment. Kayla's POV. My God, what happened? My head is hurting like mad. Grunting, I stretched my arms out in front of me, still laying down on something and still with closed eyes. What? I yawned, peeling my eyes slowly open before looking around. Fancy room, I see. Looking down, I notice I'm wrapped in a thick cover. Nice and cozy. Oh, yeah. I hesitantly look at my clothes and breath a sigh of relief, seeing my clothes from last night still on me. I look like a flipping child. Who let me go to bed with my day clothes on? I groaned before getting up, pushing the oh-so-comfortable duvet away from me. Lazily, I get up, nearly falling flat on my face with the dots covering my vision. Did I drink or do something last night? I don't remember. Oh! Pushing my hands forward, I feel my way to another door, throwing it open. A bathroom! I walked in, locking the door behind me. Shifting to the mirror, I look at my reflection, nearly dying right there. I look like complete and utter crap! I gingerly lift a piece of my hair before whining slightly. Not fair. I had a shower last night. Why is it like this? Sighing, I go into the shower, doing my business before going back to the mirror. Making my hair as usual, a side braid. I look at my reflection again. I frown slightly, my eyes dulling. I guess I'm satisfactory. Slightly, I touch my chin, lifting it and trying to change it. You can change your chin. I sighed, giving up and grabbing my other clothes, walking out of the bathroom. No one knows. No one knows how much I hate myself. It's not important. I blink rapidly. I will not go back to what I was before the doctor. Never again. Walking out of the big bedroom, I go towards the main room. My watch signaling me that it's 12:30. How long did I sleep in? And why did no one wake me? I'm still tired as well. Opening the door, I throw the clothes in my hand to the side and look up, seeing the doctor on his usual chair. Can you explain to me what the heck happened last night? Early morning? I call before groaning and holding onto my head. And is there any painkillers in here? Is there any painkillers? Perfect. Nailed it. I say, hearing him chuckle and walk over. Oh, you just turned into a whole different person as Azuri went into you and practically seduced the master. Oh yeah, and we lost you into the streets last night. Did I mention that you hit your head both times you fell? He grinned at me casually as I frowned. What even? I laughing slightly as he walked over to the top of the room, scavenging through the cupboards. I knew you'd get a headache, so I made a little something. Well, I didn't know, he rambled before holding a green liquid. I did, really. The doctor back over, handed it to me. It's apple-flavored, he added as I looked at him in amusement. Okay, I answered, gingerly tipping it to my mouth and drinking it. My eyes widened and I coughed slightly. This isn't apple! I choked it down before coughing rapidly. What the hell was that? I hacked as he patted my back. Rule 1, he questions as I groan. The doctor lies, I complete as he pats my head. After the foul taste in my mouth disappears as I rub my temple. All right. I look at him before walking over to his chair and sitting in it. My chair. You just sat on my chair, he exclaimed in shock as I giggled slightly at him. Yes, I just did. Thanks for noticing. I cheekily poke out my tongue at him as he rolled his eyes. You child, he scolded before childishly stomping his feet on the ground. Says you, I say to him as he rolls his eyes and looks around the room. So, what's up, Doc? I grinned at him as he scoffed at me. Don't call me Doc, he ordered as I laughing loudly. Yawning slightly, I got up from the doctor's chair and skipped over to the front of the room near the windows. Normal as ever. Sighing, I stared out in boredom. What to do? I asked myself. My ear twitched, but I just shook it off. I could always, I don't know, learn archery or fencing or something. Maybe I could go shopping or... Oh my God! I yelled, feeling hands slip around my waist. I heard someone burst into a fit of laughter and I instantly recognized it. Jack, oh my God, stop! I exclaimed as he suddenly started tickling me. I just unemotionally stared at him as he, confused, tried poking my sides. I'm not ticklish, I grinned an evil grin at him as he pales. Don't do it, he squeals as I jump to him and tickle his sides. Loud booming laughter filled the room as Jack wriggled over to the ground, tears escaping his eyes. Doctor! He breathed out before giggling. Laughing myself, I get up and walk back down the steps. How about we do something? Like, we could play a game. I like playing games, me. I asked as the doctor thinks. I could go with that. Jack says, I could go with that. Jack says, cheekily wrapping an arm around my waist. Don't even think of it, mate. I raise an eyebrow at him as he unwraps it and just grins to himself. Damn, he laughed. Oi! Who thought it would be fun to leave the master out of this discussion? I heard a voice exclaim from behind me, nearly scaring the crap out of me. What a mess that would be. There's no room in our circle for you, Romeo, I yelled at him before grabbing Jack and Doctor, pushing them into a circle. There's always room, Nut. The master smirked before running over and pushing himself into the middle. See? I'm in the middle. He grinned, obviously very happy with himself. Okay, hold on. I gotta see if this editing software works. Give me a second. It works. I shrugged slightly before frowning. I wonder what Martha's doing. Jack didn't really say much, didn't he? Martha left, that's it. Can I ask what really happened to Martha? I asked the group of boys as they looked down. She's left. She said she would be back, though, Jack said, the master walking away to the door. Where do you think you're going? I called to him as he looks behind me. You wanted to play a game, did you not? He rose an eyebrow as I smiled and ran after him, checking to see if Jack and the Doctor were still following. Well? I asked them. Right, they both said, following. Speed walking, I catch up to the master and look at him questioningly. It's a surprise, he says, noticing my look. Doctor, remember that certain game in Gallifrey we used to play? The master yells over his shoulder, and I turn around to see the Doctor lightening up. You mean where one person had to name a planet, and they've got it wrong, they didn't say it quick enough, or had to do a dare or truth? He questions as I groan. That sounds like truth or dare. He laughs. Jack laughs as I shrug. No, truth or dare sounds like planet truth. The master grins at me as I smile happily at him. Okay then. I laugh slightly, but for some reason in a better mood than a few seconds ago. Where are we going, Butt? I question again as he opens a door letting us through first. We were in a park? We're outside! Jack exclaimed as I, fascinated with everything, jumped to the ground. Oh, the grammar. Nice! I grinned, rolling around on the ground. Feels so weird. The master laughed at me as I scoffed. And you aren't? I backfire as he shrugs. Fair point, he concludes before they all sit down on the grass beside me. Okay, let's do this. The Doctor smiled, looking over at the master. I'll go first, since I started it all, and I'll go with you, Doctor, first to show you how to play. The master explains before looking straight at the Doctor. Begins with M, well known on Earth, touched and you die. He fired out as the Doctor scoffed. Mercury, of course, that's too easy. I can't do the 10th Doctor. The Doctor, then grinning, and looked to Jack. Planet colonized by humans in the 25th century. Jack excitedly bounced on the spot before shouting, Arcadia! I laughed worriedly. Hell, I probably wouldn't remember what this planet is called. Jack then faced me before. I'll give you an easy one, he grinned. Planet of sun, planet of moon, planet of water, planet of soil. What is it? Jack asked as I blankly stared at him. It's not the Earth, is it? I don't want to sound stupid in front of you smart butts, but is it Earth? I mumble as he nods. Yeah, it is. He laughed as I breathed out. Then it hit me. I don't know any planets all too well. I frowned as the Doctor sighed. But you've been to so many, he exclaims as I innocently shrug. I can't remember, I squeal. What's she have to do with truth or dare, then? The master questions as the Doctor shrugs. I don't know. Let's do it anyway. He laughed as Jack grinned evilly. Okay, truth or dare? He questions as I groan. Truth, I could get asked an awkward question. Dare, I don't even want to think about what Jack Harkness would make me do. Truth, I murmured as he grinned. Tell me, how many have you kissed in your time? Jack questions as I coughed loudly. Dare, I re-said as he shrugged. I dare you to tell me. He laughs loudly as I grunt. None, I said lowly as he leans over slightly. What was that? I couldn't hear from all the way over here, Jack smirked. None, I said loudly, startling the master who was sitting pretty close beside me. Even the Doctor was shocked by this. What? Jack tried to contain his laughter, but failed. I blushed a deep red, ashamed. It kind of hurt. I mean, nobody really liked me. Well, I'm just not that attractive. I half smiled at them as Jack immediately stopped laughing. You're anything but. Hell, if I was a girl, I'd go lesbian for that butt. I can't say that word. Jack grinned as I laughed lightly. Don't spare me the sob story, I told him, looking up at a silent master. Fools. All of them. he whispered slightly to me as I felt heat rise to my cheeks. I let out a little beep before rubbing my cheeks to try and hide the redness. May we continue? Chapter 15. Approval. Kayla's POV. I was right. It was the cold season. It's most certainly been a while since our little Planet Truth game. Well, a few months, I'd say. It's only tomorrow when it's Christmas, and lucky for me, it's Christmas today. Jack and I went shopping the other day, getting a few gifts. I even got one for our guard, who always stays at the door. His name is Tom. Always got one for each of Martha's family members. Oh, and you should see the place. Tinsel is everywhere. You should have seen when we all put it up, and that Christmas tree. Now that was a hassle, but of course it was as fun as ever. Flashback to 7th December. I remember a while ago that the doctor tried to decorate the control room in the TARDIS to a Christmas theme while I was asleep. So it was a big surprise when I woke up and I noticed that he just threw toilet paper everywhere. He tried. I always laughed to myself when I thought back to that. Hopefully today will go better. Hey, Master! Pass the tinsel and let me show you boys a lesson! I called over from the middle of the room, catching the flying hot pink tinsel. Colored tinsel. Nice color! I sarcastically left, waving it to them.
1 week later.
No, you didn't read that time card wrong. This has actually been a 1-week skip. I had to go to work last time, and then I had to spend time with my fiance for a week. So, yeah, I had a lot to do last week, so I'm going to have to make this a late Christmas video. So, where was I? Do they match your high heels? I joked, seeing the master scoff. It's to go with my purse. Oh, sorry. It's to go with my purse. I forgot about the accents. He exclaimed as I laughed. All right, now, you see those rails up there? No use, are they? So just be like, I started, aiming and throwing the tinsel high in the air, landing through the rails. Landing, though, the rails. Sorry. I grinned up at it before looking at the others. So, how do you get it down now? The doctor tried to keep a straight face as I slowly looked back up. I coughed, trying to mask my embarrassment. You don't... I shrugged as I heard the three boys laugh. Okay, let's get to work then. Jack grinned, skipping over to the other Christmas decorations. Dibs the tree! I yelled, the doctor wrapping his arms around the tree. Mine! I growled, taking it off him and hugging it close. He just shrugged and walked off to Jack. Can I help? I heard the master ask as I looked over to him. All right, I accepted, him walking over and taking the other half of the tree. We waddled over to the side of the steps to the right. Here's good. Oh my god. I say, dropping the tree along with him. We need some decor, though. I frowned, looking over the blank tree. As soon as I said that, the master came back over, pushing a box with it. You know, I could probably make a tree that could talk and walk, and he started to ramble as I shushed him. No fun in that, I told him before grabbing the tangled Christmas lights. But I'd be grateful if you could work your magic on this. I laughed, looking at the mess of it. The master frowned for a second before looking back at me and grinning. Sure, he obliged before grabbing it and starting to untangle it. I excitedly grabbed a purple tinsel and twirled it around the tree before grabbing a dark blue and doing the same. What do you think? I look up to the master, startled for a second, seeing the hold up untangled lights. How'd you do that so fast? I gasped as he smiled softly. My magic. He smiled back as he looking over at the tree. Sorry. You should put the lights on. I mean, you untangled them after all. I say to him, guiding him over. I shivered slightly at the distance I was with him, praying he wouldn't notice. He cautiously looked at me before stepping up and twirling it as I'd done around the tree. How's this? He breathed out, stretching to get to the top. Perfect! I grinned cheekily, my eyes slightly flickering every so often to his manly bottom. Oh, this is getting awkward. Stop checking him out, Kayla! I heard Jack yell loudly from behind me as I turned a deep shade of red. Jack! I embarrassedly shouted at him as I heard a booming laugh come out of him. I know I look good, but wow! The master laughed as well, before stretching again purposely. I turned around from him, cheeks still a dark red. Oh, poor Kayla. Jack giggled from where he was as I flipped him the bird. I can't do that on camera. Now that's rude, the doctor scolded as a song popped in my head and I stuck my tongue out at him. I can't decide whether you should live or die, I burst out singing, and the doctor and Jack looked at me weirdly. Oh, you'll probably go to heaven. Please don't hang your head and cry, I danced slightly, tripping over the lights. Nearly tripping over the lights. No wonder why my heart feels dead inside. It's cold and hard and petrified. Lock the doors and close the blinds. We're going for a ride, I grinned, dancing around the tree. You know, I don't care if I get copyright struck. I have a job and I don't care. The master at the top looking at me strangely. Why is everybody looking at me weird? I'm just singing a good song. I can't decide whether you should live or die, I repeat, doing a weird groove in the middle of the room, laughing every so often. I noticed Jack dancing as well, making me giggle more. I felt a presence turning me, and I nearly died right there seeing the master twirling me on the spot, singing along. Oh, you'll probably go to heaven. Please don't hang your head and cry. No wonder why my heart feels dead inside. It's cold and hard and petrified. Lock the doors and close the blinds. We're going for a ride, I continued, throwing my head back and laughing afterwards. That was random. The master giggled slightly as I mentally awed. He's like a little kitten, I swear. Truly was, the doctor commented as I slightly still bobbed my head. It was just randomly in my head out of nowhere. What's the song, anyway? I frowned slightly, rubbing my forehead. The master looked at me carefully. I can't decide, he says as I nodded. Nice. I like it. I grinned slightly evilly for some reason before going back to the tree. We finished up the decorations of the tree and stood back looking at the whole room. Jack and the doctor did the room while we did the tree. By we, I mean the master and I. Castor? Mela? Oh my god, I'm thinking up ship names. That's bad. I love it! I exclaimed, smiling happily. I noticed the others watching the place in awe. You guys aren't really used to this, are you? I frowned as I looked to the ground. Not really. We didn't celebrate Christmas in Gallifrey. Too humany, the master comments, looking at me slightly. I glanced back at the room. It's so beautiful. I could stare at this forever. The sparkling of the bulbs, the blinking of the lights, the shining of the tinsel. This is why I love Christmas. Special. That's a good word for it. Special. A crash echoed behind me, making me whip around to face it. Blushing, a master stood with his arms, and the floor under him covered in sweets. I got hungry, he mumbled loud enough for us to hear. I giggled, walking over and taking some off him. Cheers, mate, I jokingly say, running off to the top of the room above the steps. Hey! I heard him complain as I tipped my stash beside the couch. Beside the couch. I looked over it. Good choices here. Should I eat the Mars bar or plain bar of chocolate, Hershey's, marshmallow? Oh my god, he got marshmallow fluff? I let out an unnatural squeal, grabbing the tub and running back over. Got a spoon? I innocently grinned as the master gasped. You better not have my fluff, he growled as I shook my head. No? I grinned, the answer turning out to be a question. Show me your hands, he commanded as I shook my head again. Then I sighed, showing the marshmallow. We could split it. He rolled his eyes, pushing it back. The master runs off out of the room before I suddenly look to the side. Jack was picking out on the chocolate where the doctor was just taking little nibbles. I laughed, seeing the difference in the two before stopping. You know, I'm more like Jack. Maybe I shouldn't eat any of this. The master suddenly came back in with 2 spoons, grinning his famous grin, making me smile back. Yeah, maybe I will. Thank you for not closing the video, everybody. I appreciate it. Merry late Christmas. Thank you for watching. I am sorry if it took so long to get this part of the video out. And like and subscribe, hit the bell to stay updated, check out Eat 'em. And remember, if opportunity comes knocking 4 times, you know what to do. Bye!